This is a small description of an Android app that I wrote recently. This is an app for making notes, making audio notes for revision if you're doing any kind of study, particularly if you're reading a book that's quite technical. Okay. First of all, note my hilarious spelling of revisor. It's pretty cool. So, the notes that you take are just normal audio notes. As you're reading a book, you make quick notes to yourself to revise later. Notes are organized into chunks. A chunk is just any group of notes, such that the total length in time of all of those notes is less than 10 minutes. For this demonstration, I've reduced that to 10 seconds though, just to show how this works. So, app opens up, click Add Notes. You can see some information here like the file name for the next note that's going to be created. That's just the date and time that it's created. You can go and retrieve those files if you want a specific one, and you don't want to use this app to revise for whatever reason. There's the time that you've got left in the current chunk, which is currently at 10 seconds. There's nothing recorded currently. And we can also see the current chunk that we're working with, which is 0, because we're going to record for the first one. Okay, so I just hit record. This is the first note that I'm recording. And you can see the time updates. That works pretty well. This is the second note that I'm recording. Just like that. And then what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to record the third note. However, it's going to be longer than 4 and a bit seconds, so that's going to be it's going to automatically be placed in the next chunk. And so I'm not going to revise that when I do my first revision. I'm going to revise that on the second revision session. So it's designed so that you only revise for when I do it, I do 10, 20, or 30 minutes of revision. You can change that. You can change that time if you want to. So this is going to be the third note that I'm recording, and it's going to be longer than 4 seconds. Okay, now you can see we're currently recording in chunk 1. We've moved on to the next one. So now I would say, okay, I'm done for the day. I've done enough reading. I've made it enough notes. So I quit out of the app. Now when I come along the next day, open up the app again. We're still on chunk 0, except the play button has suddenly appeared, and we can revise the notes that we took yesterday before we start taking more.
This is the first note that I'm recording.
There's some space in between the notes.
This is the second note that I'm recording.
And then after all the notes have been replayed, all the sound stops. There's gaps that are placed between the notes during playback so that the total time is the length of one chunk, so in this case 10 seconds. You also would have noticed that there's nice relaxing music playing throughout the whole revision session. That's just something I added because I found I was able to concentrate a little better with that playing. Lovely. Okay, now I just created a bunch more notes, and when I open up the app, you'll see that the chunk that I'm about to play is chunk number 7. Now, this is another cool feature of this app. It's important when you're studying material to not just revise what you read yesterday, but also to revise what you read a week ago and a month ago. This helps the material to sink in better. And this app takes care of that quite seamlessly. Like I said, this app doesn't keep track of specifically when you studied or anything like that. It just makes sure that when you get up to the 7th chunk, you also revise the first, and when you're on the 8th, you'll also revise the number 1, etc., etc. And it plays it all together, and you'll see that now.
This is the first note in chunk 7. This is another note in chunk 7. that I'm recording.
And we're back in the first chunk that we recorded.
This is the second note that I'm recording.
Now the same, it puts space between all of the notes evenly, so that the whole time that this takes is equivalent to the length of 2 chunks. So normally when I'm studying, that'll be 20 minutes. The relaxing music plays throughout the whole of the 2 chunks being played and stops at the end. There's no like gap where the music stops and starts again. And yeah, it just you don't even have to think about when you have to revise earlier material. It's part of the natural flow of how the app works. And that's all.